Hello again, I am Blunty. When I originally did my huge batch of testing with the ROG Ally, both before and after launch, I did test Monster Hunter World and Iceborne, but footage of that didn't make it into many of the videos because at the time, there wasn't a lot of focus on it in the wider gaming community, despite it being one of my personal favourite games of all time and being a useful benchmark game because of its performance profile. But things have changed, haven't they? Monster Hunter World is having a massive revival right now. Huge amounts of people are coming back to the game for reasons I dedicated a whole video to yesterday. So if you haven't seen that one, watch it after this. But with that revival, alongside a decent chance it'll coincide with a bunch of people for Christmas or whatever, getting one of the new AMD-powered handheld gaming PCs churning along on the Ryzen 7 7840U like the Lenovo Legion Go, or one of its CPU twin siblings like the Z1 Extreme inside of the ROG Ally. Well, with all that, I think a video focusing on this game, on that hardware, might just be very, very useful, don't you? Probably. That's why you clicked, right? Especially considering that when I went looking for videos for this exact subject myself, having just started a brand new #Return to World playthrough and wanting to be able to do some farming on my handheld, nice and cozy like, I found that every video of people going over their settings was basically just a woefully crappy video. So, being a YouTuber who likes to feel useful, I did my own testing on the current patch of Monster Hunter World and I found a nice balance of visuals and resolution and performance, and hopefully I can be a bit more useful to you in sharing that than those other videos. I don't like throwing shade on other creators too much, you know, they're out there trying, but oh my god, could try harder. So, let's start with what I was targeting. Monster Hunter World is a game that I tend to sink into for long sessions. I mean long sessions. And no matter what you do to the settings with this game, you're never ever going to get battery life that'll satisfy you if you play this game like I do. So, I wasn't sweating trying to get the lowest power profile practical for the longest battery life. I will be playing at home, I will be playing in handheld mode, and I can stay hooked up to a power umbilical to keep me going. That said, if you do want to play more portably, I strongly suggest you check out the review I made recently of one of the most brutally amazing battery packs I have ever tested, because it will keep the Ally alive for hours upon hours upon hours upon hours. It is amazing. So, I started fine-tuning for the turbo mode, with an eye to stepping down to the custom 18-watt mode that the Ally user community have settled on as the perfect balance between performance, power, and controlling temperatures. I'm also, of course, targeting 60 FPS, but I'm willing to live with dips no lower than 45. Anything less than that, and the legendary fluidity of the game's class-leading combat system starts feeling less than ideal. So, what you've been looking at here so far is performance under my custom settings in standard turbo mode and at 1080p native. And as you can see, in simple areas like the arenas, we're doing great. Moving out to the open field maps, and we're still doing well, albeit more commonly near our minimum acceptable frame rates of 45 than we are at the target rate of 60. So, I did a lot of fiddling trying to find the right balance of what to turn off or down to stabilize a higher frame rate average, but most of it just made the game look noticeably worse, and I didn't want that. Like turning off volumetrics, for example. You see that advice a lot for people trying to tune this game for a low-powered machine, and it is a great performance boost, but man, does it make the game just so much uglier, just hideous, and removes all of the immersive atmospherics. It just nukes them. No thank you, I want to keep this on if I can. So instead, I found that simply turning off foliage sway was enough to scrape back a fistful of frames, and while it does make the game world feel ever so slightly less lively, because there's literally less movement going on around, there's, no wind in the trees, frankly, most of the time you'll forget about it anyway, especially in combat, of course. It's free performance and does not make the game look demonstrably uglier like most of the other settings turning off or down will do. So, with that off, we get up to an extra 10 FPS, believe it or not, and now we're sitting in the low to mid 50s pretty consistently. A very playable space for this game, and it looks nice and smooth on the Ally with its FreeSync premium screen avoiding tearing and whatnot. if we get fussy and really wanted to be able to lock in at 60 FPS? Well, let's pop down to 720p and see. Exact same settings, of course, and we're seeing frame rates in the mid-70s, spiking to the 80s. Again, super nice if you just let it float and rely on the FreeSync premium screen to do its thing and make the gameplay nice and crisp and clear and smooth and all that kind of stuff. But you can, of course, also just cap at 60 at this point and enjoy a completely rock-solid frame rate all of the time. And Monster Hunter World is one of those games whose graphical style does work well at 720p on this 7-inch screen of a handheld. Annoyingly, the recordings I did for the 15-watt performance mode and the 18-watt custom power mode corrupted, and I'm too annoyed to go back and re-record those. But it doesn't really matter, because at 720p both these options still got to 60 FPS very solidly. The 15-watt mode slipped slightly below, and the 18-watt locked in at the mid to high 60s when uncapped. So absolutely a good option there, but otherwise looks identical to what you're already seeing. I didn't see a lot of benefit when I tried 900p, both natively and with RSR upscaling. On the Ally screen, it really didn't look appreciably better, as many games at 900p do versus 720p on the Ally, and the performance difference was only slight. Speaking personally, I think I'll stick to the 18-watt custom power profile and the 720p experience, as my main gameplay is happening on my big rig, where I can nail 60 FPS easily at 4K with the high-res texture pack and everything turned on and up and beautiful and all that jazz. The Ally experience is just so I can run some casual farming hunts with the convenience of a handheld when I want. But if you will be playing on the Ally as your main rig, or similar devices like the Legion Go of course, I would suggest giving 1080p a good try. Slipping below 60 to no less than 45 doesn't really do this game much harm, so long as it's reasonably consistent. And the extra clarity for such a nice looking game is very desirable in my opinion. So, there you are. Let's have one more look at those settings for you, and I hope this has been helpful for you all. Thank you again to the Patreon people for their extra support, and thank you to the rest of you for at least making it to the end of the video. Appreciate that. Thank you for watching. I am Blunty, and I will catch you next time.